Also, I think that my laughter beats out almost an even pentameter based on the rise and fall of the audio.
Really?
It's really like shockingly robotic.
Yeah, quite mechanical. Oh,
Tactic Angel is funny, man. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Wednesday Night Gentlemen Multimedia Empire official podcast. This is episode number 87. On the show, we like to talk about things like comic books, movies, TV shows, video games, political discourse sometimes, but always Star Trek. I'm your host, Tactic Angel, and with me is Midget Radio, my murderous socialist friend.
hello.
Midget Radio, how are you?
Oh. I thought I say hello first and then you ask me how I am. Is that not how we do it?
Nope.
I'm doing well, Tactic Angel. How are you?
Do you want to restart?
No, I don't. Let's just keep going. Who cares?
Okay, I'm okay. I'm
That's
okay.
Good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Though this is not to boldly go drinking, we do tend to imbibe upon the broadcast of this podcast. Midget Radio, are you doing so today?
Oh, yeah. I'm on the bullet.
Bullet.
Bullet rye. Tastes really sweet to me today. I don't know why.
Okay. Interesting. I can't help but notice you do not have the Stillhouse.
I know, yeah, I know. Well, I've got just a little bit of bullet left. I actually, it's a really small amount. I'm kind of hoping I don't finish it today. But it's been a while. This still, I've been drinking this still kind of religiously lately.
If I talk really slowly, do you think that you'll get through it?
Probably. Probably.
I can't wait to the end of this sentence. Strange. I have the Stillhouse.
Oh, nice.
That's no.
It's not nice. All right.
It is not the black bourbon. It is the original whiskey.
Oh.
I thought this was a labeling thing, but apparently what I bought was 100% corn whiskey.
Wow. Okay.
So it's the clear stuff.
Oh. Like vodka?
I would recommend that you buy the black bourbon.
Yeah.
Because this seems like something that you drink if you have, like, a problem.
Ugh. Is it battery acid? I mean...
I've never drank battery acid, but I can imagine it.
Okay.
I mean, this isn't the worst whiskey I've ever drank. It's just that it's like, this tastes like really angry water is what it is.
Okay.
Like really angry water.
Angry water. That explains a lot of Russia, I think.
Yeah, it actually does. And actually, that's a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about today, which is The Boys.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. But The Boys is an Amazon original TV show based off of some hack fucking comic book writer named Garth Enix's comic book by the same name. His name is Garth Square Enix.
All right.
Midget Radio, have you ever read any of this man's work?
I have, yeah.
Is he trash?
I would say his Punisher is good, and everything else, and this is a fairly controversial opinion, is fucking trash.
Have you read The Boys?
No, I haven't read The Boys. No.
Have you watched The Boys?
Yes. I thought I was supposed to do that in preparation for this episode.
That seems like a fair like summary of what you should have done before this podcast. Okay. That's really good. I'm really excited that you did that because I do not want to have like the interview with Blue Sky Giant where it's like, I have not watched this movie.
I have read 3 reviews on IMDb.
That's not fair. He read like 5. So essentially, would you agree that the summary is what if the Justice League was evil, kind of, but definitely corporate owned.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like Garth Enix's. I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to
Okay.
go with it the entire
No,
time.
you stick with it. You stick
Garth-
to your guns.
Garth Enix's. He sings country music and he makes role-playing games in the Japanese style.
That sounds about right.
That's basically what he has in The Boys. That has been picked up by Netflix, and they just ran with it. It stars.
Really, I think it was on Amazon, but
We need to start over.
This is a really good episode. I like it a lot. We're gonna keep going, I think.
Okay. So Garth Enix, The Boys, Amazon, for sure.
Yeah.
You know that they have failed to deliver 4 packages in a row to my house?
Wow. That's a lot of packages right in a row.
Yeah, it is really, really bad.
Man.
One of their representatives asked me if I thought that, like, because they had delivered 1,000 items or something to my house in a row, okay, if that meant that their guarantee was worth nothing. And I told them essentially that is a fabulous question because, of course, being in insurance, I would tell you that your record is miserable.
Yeah.
Because I would get fined between $500 and $10,000 per infraction. And all I'm asking you is to tell me when a postal card will get to my house. And apparently you can't tell me.
Yeah.
So aside from the fact that Amazon is essentially incompetent,
Yes.
how did you like this midget radio?
I feel like I almost liked this show. I almost liked it.
Okay, almost liked it. I would say that I mostly liked it.
Okay.
Like, there were parts of it that I was like, I could do without this.
Yeah.
And then there were parts of it that was like, this is actually pretty okay.
Yep. Yeah.
And then there was the ending, which I was like, I could do without.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What a fascinating conversation we've had.
I know. Well, it's hard not to, like, I don't know. It's hard to talk about it without, like, getting into spoilers. I will say that, like, I think that Garth Ennis, so he was also the guy who wrote Preacher, which was, like, a really big deal. And I thought that series was fucking awful. And I think there's a lot of that, like, sensibility in this show. Here's how I feel about this show. I think that it is cynical to the point of being kind of obnoxious and shallow. That's sort of where I landed on it.
I think there are parts of that, but I do want to say that, like, okay, maybe the writing is to that level, but several of the performances I think kind of elevate it above that.
Okay, yeah, I guess
because
for that.
I mean, Carl Urban, is
yeah.
constantly awesome.
Yeah,
he does a really good job as Butcher, and that said, I don't even know who this fucking guy is, but Anthony Starr as Homelander.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He walks away with the entire show.
Yeah, he does.
And like, he's a guy that you really kind of like love to hate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hate to love at the same time. I mean, like, he's just so fucked up. And
yeah, he is. He's fucking terrifying. Yeah.
And awesome?
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh. Yeah. I feel, I don't know, man. This show overall, it like gets up to the fucking goal line for me and just can't cross it. I don't know.
Do you think you can describe that in a way that wouldn't spoil it to our many hundreds of thousands
No,
of fans?
I don't really think I can. I think like this show, like I feel like it presents a number of like fairly interesting ideas, but I think like honestly I think my biggest hang up with this show is our fucking heroes. I don't know, there's just something really fucking shallow about what I think is driving so much of the narrative in the show, and I can definitely get more into that in the spoilers, but that's where it is. That's kind of where it is for me. I just don't feel like there's a compelling a compelling hero.
I mean, like, okay, so the most heroic, in quotes, hero that we have is probably Starlight, right?
Yeah.
Annie January.
Yeah.
And she's played by Erin Moriarty, which I think she does a pretty solid job.
Yeah.
Throughout. I was I mean, I'm naturally disposed to enjoying her.
Sure.
From, a pretty base level.
Yes.
Right. And so on top of that, I feel like she doesn't like drop a lot of lines.
No, I don't think so either.
I think she does a good job in terms of acting. I think that in some cases, the way that she's written is kind of shitty, but
yeah, I think so too.
But all in all, I think she does a pretty decent job, and she's on a whole kind of more likable than not.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so too. And I don't think any of the issues that I have with her as a character stem remotely from the actress.
But
it's 100%
like
the writing.
She is the most heroic of the heroes, or any of the characters, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's the only person who, minus the first episode, has kind of a I don't know, like a pure idealistic vision of what she is, and what she ought to be.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
That said, everybody else, I mean, obviously, our characters who are part of the boys, so to speak, as opposed to the 7, are all pretty shitty characters.
Yes.
And they're intentionally so.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm supposed to judge that against them, because like I can go with it and I can kind of like Butcher for who he is.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of like everybody else for who they are.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you want out of it. I kind of like a lot of the characters in this. I really like Maeve, who is kind of a shitty person at first, but you kind of realize that what she is a person who sold herself out, and is kind of struggling with who she wanted to be versus who she became.
Yeah.
And like that's interesting, and it has a lot of possibility in terms of how do you develop this sort of character.
Yeah.
And that said, I mean, this is only 8 episodes, so you don't really get all the way there.
No.
I'm not sure how many other people I can really say that about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Deep is all that interesting.
No.
Right? I don't think Hugh is all that interesting. I don't think Butcher's I mean, Butcher is fun just because he's Carl Urban.
Yeah.
And he's fucking great.
Yeah, that's where most of that's coming from. Yeah.
So I don't know. And then you have, of course, the spectacle that is Homelander, and Homelander is great.
Yeah.
And terrible.
Terrifying. Yeah.
So.
And you have Elizabeth Shue, and Elizabeth Shue is amazing.
Yeah, a little old to be playing a parent, but okay.
You know.
I mean, she's got to be at least 50, man.
Oh yeah, totally.
So, I mean, like, there's this strange relationship between Elizabeth Shue and Homelander, and
yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to kind of watch that whole thing.
Yeah, which I kind of like. Like that relationship I thought was really, really interesting. But yeah, I guess when we get more into it, I just feel like most of these characters are like single-minded, I would say, in their motivations, and it is a show about that is almost like, it's so fucking cynical, and there's so much relentless self-interest motivating each one of these characters that it just got tiresome to me. It just got like it almost dives into cliche, I think, a little bit. It almost becomes predictable, because so many of these fucking characters are so fucking self-centered, and for some reason evil, that it's just like the second a new character pops up on the screen, you're like, oh, I know what's driving him. Like, and it just gets, and it, again, when we get into spoilers, I think I could explain this a little bit better. But it just got like, it just gets tiresome. It just gets tiresome to me. I mean, there's no room. And I think this is the function Starlight was supposed to serve, and I think it's questionable whether she really serves it or not. But there's no fucking room in this series for any kind of idealism at all.
Man, okay. Idealism, maybe not, but kind of, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
But I think you're definitely wrong in terms of, you know, all the characters are so cynical that they're two-dimensional. Like, I think there's a strong argument against that. Unfortunately, I don't think that I can make it without going into spoilers.
Yeah,
So, we probably, unless you have anything else that you want to get out there in front of the spoiler tag,
no,
we should probably go ahead and rate this thing on the old skill. Fuck.
This is a good Tactic Angel episode.
All of them are. On the old school Amazon rating system from 1 to 5 stars. I think you can still rate everything on Amazon in 1 to 5 stars. Maybe we should just call it the Amazon rating scale.
Maybe.
Fuck Netflix. It's basically dead.
Yeah.
I'm really close to canceling my subscription because it's like, why?
Well, you know, they got the Chappelle special. I want to watch that. And then Bill Burr special comes out really soon, too.
You haven't seen the Chappelle special yet?
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, I've not watched it yet.
Well, I heard it got a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, really? Oh.
It was actually pretty funny.
I hope so. I like Chappelle.
I am lukewarm on him, but it was amusing. I enjoyed parts of it, for sure.
That's good.
Oh no.
Solid endorsement. So
amusing.
Ratings?
Rating. We're talking about The Boys.
The Boys. I am gonna give The Boys 2.5 stars.
Whoo.
Yeah.
I should have thought about this before we started recording. What would I give The Boys? I mean, I have to say, like, in terms of TV shows that I have watched in the last decade or so, this has kind of been more interesting. Now, I didn't really like how it ended.
Okay.
And that kind of sours me a little bit on it. But all in all, I would say that out of the 8 episodes, I liked 7 of them.
Okay. That's pretty good.
So I'd probably have to give it a 3.5.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought that that Homelander was like just a crazy fun character.
Yeah.
I love seeing Carl Urban act wherever he goes. This young fucking kid, Jack Quaid,
Yeah.
he does a pretty good job. He's apparently Dennis Quaid's son.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit weird because, of course, Simon Pegg plays his father.
Yeah.
And he actually does a reasonable job
Yeah.
kind of like pretending to be an American.
Yeah, he does.
That said, I guess the reason why Simon Pegg was in it was because the original comic book character was kind of modeled after Simon Pegg.
I heard that, yeah.
So that's fine. That's fine. And I'm sure Dennis Quaid is just way too busy making like Esurance commercials.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is that he's doing.
Well, no, he's found his niche.
Yeah. I think it's called niche, but anyway.
Niche.
Niche?
Yeah,
Niche?
like the philosopher's last name, Niche.
Niche. God, we're like the only two people who are going to understand that. Anyway. I mean, so overall, I enjoyed it, and I found it pretty interesting.
Okay.
So we will go ahead and put up the spoiler tag, and I will tell you why you are wrong.
All right. I don't really know. Do you have a starting place? Because I'm not sure exactly where I want to start.
I'm going to start where you're wrong.
Oh, okay. Where's that?
Every character in this TV show is cynical.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
I don't agree with that on a fundamental level, because as you go into it,
yeah,
and part of this is kind of a theme that I don't agree with, but like I feel like they do a decent job of, which is something along the lines of that corporatism and or fame have a way of destroying your soul, right?
Okay.
And other than like Homelander, we see most of the characters who actually have something to do with anything kind of experiencing this thing, because like, you know, Starlight, she has problems because essentially she has to blow the deep
right
in order to be part of the Seven. And like that's not great. That's bad.
So that's the first thing that's our first introduction, right, to what kind of crew the Seven is.
Yeah, and then like I'm gonna come back to that because it's kind of like if I go back on that, it's gonna kind of derail the whole conversation.
Okay.
Like A-Train. Like A-Train is the shittiest of the Seven, other than maybe Homelander.
Yeah.
In part because he hits a person at the speed of light and can't take any responsibility for it.
Right.
And like that's essentially what starts the entire thing off. But in the quest for revenge, essentially you see him wrestling between, you know, A-Train, the image, and A-Train, the actual person.
Yeah.
And somewhere in the middle of this, Popclaw gets kind of duped into this scheme by the boys and kills a guy and ends up screwing up all sorts of stuff. And then A-Train kills her. But like, you get all the way to the end of it, and like he is devastated by the stuff that like his corporate image has required him to do, versus what he wanted to do. And when you see characters like Maeve is very much like, you have Maeve and Starlight, and like they're kind of like the same character, but you get the sense that they're the same character like 10, 20 years later, where where Starlight has like all of this like optimism, positive reasons why she wants to be a hero.
Yeah.
And like you can kind of see that like Maeve, she basically I think says this in a bathroom scene, it was essentially the same sort of positive character that Starlight was. And then like she did a few things that she didn't like, and slowly she kind of slipped away, and like the corporate image part of her took over rather than why she became a hero, because it was more important to be popular and famous than it was to be good and just.
Mm-hmm.
And like I don't know that we get a lot of introspection from the other characters. Like we do see a little bit of the guy who can turn invisible. What's his name?
Oh yeah, I don't remember his name either, but yeah.
And he's kind of a haughty character until he gets his ass blown up. But
yeah.
That said, I mean, he wasn't perfect, and he wasn't completely two-dimensional. Like the two-dimensional characters that we have are the characters who are like the Batman guy, the Black Noir, I think his name is.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any lines.
Yeah.
Though he does have one or two things that are completely laughable about during the thing where he sits down next to the piano player and just stares at the dude until he walks away.
Yeah. That was interesting. Yeah.
It got a chuckle out of me. And like, yeah, that character, he's two-dimensional. He's essentially moving background.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all he is. Yeah.
I think everybody else shows kind of a certain I don't know, because everybody's got a certain sense of tragedy about their character, right?
Sure, they do. Yeah.
Cuz Hugh has it for sure, because he's holding his, his booty girl's
arms
hand when she gets annihilated.
Mm-hmm.
Butcher has the same sort of thing that you slowly kind of come to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already talked about Maeve letting herself slip away. We've talked about A-Train sacrificing Popclaw for his image.
Yeah.
So they're like, everybody has a certain sense of like tragedy about them.
Yeah.
Even though they're on different sides. And like that's interesting. Even in this sense, Homelander does, because Homelander has a fucking terrible existence. Like he was a science experiment.
Yeah.
His entire life is a lie.
Yeah.
And he's just a ball of anger and want.
Yeah.
And like that's interesting.
Yeah. Homelander is an interesting character. Yes.
Now, I think all of the characters are more than two dimensions. Like you said.
You might be able to argue that. I'm not sure that it's all that like every fucking single one of these characters, it seems like, has this just ridiculously fucking dark aspect to their lives. A-Train, as you mentioned, starts off this series by accidentally killing a civilian. He has zero fucking remorse about it. And is in fact actually like joking about it with one of his friends later on. Doesn't give a shit that he accidentally killed this woman. It turns out he's also a junkie because he's worried that like some other guy with speed power will be faster than him. It's just like, it's so fucking vain. And so that turns him into a junkie. And then he has this relationship with Popclaw that's a secret for some fucking reason. And ends up having to kill her because of this shit that she got involved with in The Boys. And then because I guess he loved her, even though he's a fucking junkie and you don't really know where he is as a character, because he's so fucked up, that that he starts blaming our main character for the fact that Pop Claw is dead and pretending like, and then he has a heart attack at the end and then he fucking dies. And it's like, I mean, that's ridiculously dark. That's a dark life journey for a particular character. And I think what gets tedious about it is that almost all of these characters have this just absurdly dark streak that it just becomes completely, I mean, I know this is a show about superheroes and stuff, but maybe it's the melodrama. Maybe that's what I'm reacting to, because all of these characters have that, and it's too fucking much.
Okay, now, even as a guy who's kind of outside of the comics book thing, oh, Jesus. The comic book thing, like, even I know that Garth Enix has like a thing against capes, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I understand where you're getting that. And I also, I could go into it and I could maybe come out with the same conclusion. However, I think there is kind of a counter current to that. And I don't know exactly how much influence that he has over the actual production of the show.
Yeah.
But I feel like Starlight, like, she immediately craters in terms of like her emotional state.
Yeah.
And like, she's starting to come back throughout the actual series, and she is still idealistic, and she's being informed by the world around her that she's right to do so. And like, that's interesting, and I feel like that can work against everyone else's narrative.
Yeah.
And provided where they go, like, that could be a really interesting story.
Yes, it can. I mean, again, the only pushback I have on that is that she's literally the only person who believes in anything greater than herself. She's literally the only human being, apparently, on the entire Earth, that actually believes in anything that's like larger than herself. The rest of these characters are so goddamn self-centered.
We have such a narrow view of the so-called Earth that I don't know that you can really make that assertion.
I don't know, dude. Everyone, A-Train is completely self-centered.
No, but like
the Vanisher dude, he's naked all the time in the girls' bathroom. I mean, what the fuck? Like, every character is so bad. Of course, we introduce a character who claims to be like chosen by God, preaches against like homosexuality and all that stuff, and you can call this. Of course he's gay. Of course he's doing all of that shit under the table. Of course he's into all of that. Another complete hypocrite. All of these characters, all of these powered people, even Starlight's fucking mom, just wall to wall hypocrites, except for apparently Starlight.
Okay.
It's like the only person you can point to.
So I don't think that she's the only person, because, okay, so if we were to follow the character arc of Hugh, he goes from like,
he goes from I don't know to I don't know to I don't know to I don't know.
Those I don't knows have very important flavors, though.
I'm not sure they do.
I don't know if I should act, to I don't know if I should kill this guy or let him go, to I don't know that I shouldn't. And then all the way back to, maybe all of the capes aren't bad people. And like, I get it. He's not exactly a strong character.
He's not even remotely strong.
but he does go through the motions, and maybe he's just flapping in the breeze. That's fine.
Yeah.
But he isn't two-dimensional in the sense that like he doesn't change. Now he could change a lot more in the next season. Yeah. Because god damn it, this fucking show. Yeah. And you did put your finger on the episode that I didn't really care for, which was like what is the technical term? Preachy as fuck.
Yeah.
And you're just like, guys, I'm not an evangelical Christian, but lay off of the low-hanging fruit here.
Right? It's just like that's where it really started to turn for me, where it's like, this is just fucking tedious now. This is tedious.
I kind of felt like most of the fucking garbage was contained within that one episode.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing that I couldn't really follow or didn't really like is I kind of wanted this to all end. And just be like a neatly contained 8-episode plot.
That would have been nice. Yeah.
And then I didn't have to watch season 2.
Yeah.
From a company that can't deliver packages. So, I mean, like, that episode was patently bad and preachy, and I kind of got like really into the kind of same meta that we get from a lot of the other Amazon shows, right? So, like, I think we had talked, it might have been in a podcast, it might have been off, but that show where there were a whole bunch of people who were like House representatives.
Oh yeah, that show that was amazing for like 5 minutes and then sucked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it had Bill Murray in it.
Oh, fuck. So, God damn it. Scene was awesome.
But literally after Bill Murray left, which was 5 or 10 minutes into it, nosedive.
Oh, fuck.
And it was just like preachy and hateful.
Yep.
And like, I mean, I can watch a show that makes fun of the things that I like.
Sure.
As long as it's good humored and is kind of like fair.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
I'd appreciate if it was at least clever and not fucking obvious.
Well, I mean, I was going from like the Ron Swanson thing. Ron Swanson's a caricature.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he's a caricature of a lot of the ways that America should be.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Right? He's intensely liberal. He's open. He's a freedom-loving person, and like the show is telling you that like freedom is wrong and free speech is bad and government is good and all this other stuff. And you're just like, but there's a certain sense of balance to it.
Yeah. Because
clearly neither one of these options are completely right.
Yeah.
And like that's fun.
Yeah.
And same thing with 30 Rock, with Alec Baldwin's character. Like, it's all great. He's a hyper Republican, and it's hilarious and fun. Yeah. Lemon is opposite him, and she's a fucking mess, and clearly not always right. So like you can have fun with the whole thing, and like, I don't even remember what that show is called. I hope it's dead, but
oh yeah, I don't remember either. Yeah,
but like it was just so shitty and hateful. And you're just like, guys, this is kind of rotting your soul to make this sort of stuff. And I didn't really care for it. And like, that was the one episode of The Boys that was really like shitty like that.
Yeah.
And fine. They moved past it. And I can forgive it for...
I'm not sure they did. I don't really see much of a difference in what they did in that episode and what they did with basically any character that wears a cape.
Oh, no. Now explain that. Particularly from an episode 5 on.
Well, I would say, so like I was saying, I mean, every character turns out to be kind of a shallow hypocrite. That's where I'm at. I think maybe you've got a decent argument with Maeve, that Maeve might not be that way. But pretty much everyone else is. The Deep is, A-Train is. It's just, and the fucking preacher guy is. Like, everyone that has any kind of superpower just turns out to be kind of shallow, selfish, and hypocritical. And it just gets tedious.
No, I mean, I can see with the Deep, like maybe his sense of sorrow about what has befallen him is
purely self-motivated.
Is right, purely
it's just
self-motivated.
Self-pity. Like,
but like when you look at A-Train, and yeah, sure, maybe he blames other people for the fact that Popclaw died.
Yeah,
but like you can, I think you can take from that the sense that like there was a real loss there, and he's just unable to take responsibility for it. Yeah. And like, I don't know if that makes him a two-dimensional character. I rather assume that it doesn't, because a lot of people have problems taking responsibility for their own actions.
Yeah, and I don't want to get bogged down on like the terminology. I'm not gonna fight that he's a two-dimensional character. I will argue that he is a shallow character, though.
I mean, yeah, maybe kind of.
And they all are. They all are. And that's what I don't enjoy about it. Because it's just like, okay. Wow, every single fucking person on the planet apparently is a shallow asshole.
So if they continue to drill down into characters like Maeve or characters like Homelander, I assume A-Train is dead, so that's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
But like if they continue to actually drill down into those characters, because clearly at this point the story isn't over.
Right, yeah.
Do you think that you may be being a little presumptuous in terms of...
Yeah, it's not like it would be... Again, this 2.5 star... Like I said earlier, this show was like right at the goal line for me. So it's not like... I don't mean to walk away from this saying like this is a complete piece of shit and there's no redeeming it. It's just these are the things that I do. This is the Wednesday night haters tactic, Angel. We only talk about the shit we don't like. So these
Midget
are the
Radio
things about the show I don't like.
Midget Radio, tell me why it is that you hate optimism.
You know, what are you gonna do? That's our format, man.
I've been relatively positive on this episode.
No, you have. Well, see, I think it's that. So I think it's the reliance on what I feel is basically just a Tag Angel. Are you still there?
Hello.
Oh boy. All right.
Jesus Christ. That's why you weren't paying attention to me.
It's hard. Yeah, probably. I certainly didn't hear anything.
God, I was like, are you serious? You didn't think that was hilarious?
Which part?
The dolphin.
The dolphin. All right, so you heard that part.
I heard all of it, asshole.
No, I didn't like the dolphin.
I thought it was
like the dolphin.
No, the dolphin is hilarious.
No, it's dumb. It's a stupid joke, and then he's getting chased by the fucking police.
Jokes don't have to be smart.
No, they don't have to be smart, but it's just tedious. It's like you have an opportunity to maybe give some depth to the Deep as a character, and you don't. You just turn it into a joke, and that's the cynical part of this show.
Okay, no. Okay, stop the A-Train. Here we go. What part of this cannot be hilarious when essentially the Deep is a riff on Aquaman,
that's all he is.
Lamest character.
That's all
world.
He is. That's all
it's
he is
funny.
In this fucking show. No, I don't really think it's that funny. And again, I think it's just tedious. You're trying to argue, like, I feel like you want to say that there's not two-dimensional characters in this show, but this guy is a riff on fucking Aquaman. It's like, well, if that's all he is, then that's all he is. And there's nothing to invest in there, and fuck that. Like, there's nothing, you can't do anything with. It's just not interesting.
So, like, I get the argument that, like, I can't have it both ways. However... I mean, in a sense, like there's a certain amount of truth to it because, like, essentially, Aquaman is violated by some random slut.
Yeah.
In this new hometown that he has.
That was kind of an interesting scene. Yeah.
And I'm not really sure what to make of it, because of course that comes between like him doing shitty things to other people,
Yeah.
and then him trying to rescue this dolphin, which I think is absolutely
Which is just
hilarious.
right, but here's pure comedy, and that God damn it, it's like do you want me to take this character seriously, or is he a joke? And
So,
and
I
that's
mean, like-
it pisses me off when the show can't fucking decide. Like,
Can you feel like a certain sense of empathy with a character who is like comically unlucky and also kind of a bad person?
the dolphin wants to bang him. It's stupid. That's pure fucking comedy, and it's literally like you could make this character interesting if you wanted to, but you don't want to. So that's why you have him rescuing a dolphin that wants to fuck him. That's why. Because we don't know what we want to do. We don't know if we want to take this seriously. We don't know if we want to invest a bunch of time in this character, or if we want to go for the humor thing. We don't know. We had this idea in the writer's room. We thought it was funny, so we fucking stuck it in here.
I mean, I would respect it even on that point, but that said, I'm not going to defend Aquaman against any.
Well,
sort
he's
of
not a
attack.
compelling character, and they made no effort to, I don't know.
I mean, like, I did feel sorry for the Deep by the end of the episode, or at the end of the season.
I kind of wanted to a little bit, but it's just so inconsistent that I can't. I just get fucking frustrated. I just feel like I'm being dicked around a little bit, and it's because of the cumulative effect of scenes like that, where you have this kind of absurd shock or gross out humor. That when you have that, when the show develops that tendency and you start to see that stuff and you're like, oh, this is just a gimmick joke time. That's it. So I guess I mean, come on. Like I don't know. It just gets cheap. It just feels cheap to me. Butcher at the end shooting at people with a laser baby. What the fuck? Why? How does he make it go? Do you squeeze the stomach? Is that how you make the fucking laser
No,
baby shoot lasers?
That was Scott Summers.
Well, you got to make him shoot, right? I don't think Scott has to like squeeze his own stomach, or maybe you tickle him a little bit and he shoots. I don't know.
You just wake him up.
It's just dumb.
His eyes
he was
open.
but he was able to like, make it fire when he needed to fire. There's got to be a trigger of some kind. It's not like he was just holding a baby up. That doesn't make sense.
I
Otherwise,
think
it would
you're
have been a
maybe
constant laser
overthinking
blast.
this.
But it's
So-
dumb. It's just a dumb scene. It's dumb humor. Which fine. If people enjoy that, fucking fine. That's fine. I just don't know what to do with it in the context of the rest of the show. I don't know if I'm supposed to take any of these people seriously, or if they are supposed to be just these like cynical representations of the Justice League and superheroes in general. If that's all I'm supposed to get out of it, then I understand it. But if that's it, then I don't think it's a very good show. It's not anything I'm very interested in.
Let's
But
talk
if you
about
treat them as
Homelander.
people, if you treat them as characters, then I can get behind it.
No, let's talk about Homelander.
All right.
Homelander.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's somewhere between Captain America and Superman.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as the public sees him, yeah.
I kind of love this character.
He is the most compelling and the most fucking, I mean, straight up terrifying of the bunch. And I think Elizabeth Shue particularly, I just think her interactions with him bring that out so much. Just the way she is around him, it's so fucking uneasy and uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, I think they play pretty well together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But why do you particularly think that he is the most terrifying?
Because you don't really know what's in his head. And I think the show, I think he does a good job of playing that. And I think you have that element of like, this is the most powerful guy on Earth. Like, and they make that point pretty clearly. Like, we don't know how to take him out. He's literally he is a god on Earth. And we fucked with him. And we're using him essentially, but you're just not sure like which way he's gonna go. He's not completely in their control, and I think that's what's so. That's honestly that's one of the aspects of the show that I thought was fucking brilliant, but they couldn't seem to like. Nobody could really land like. I think that's what's so frustrating from the point of view of our heroes. Butcher's entire motivation is purely fucking vengeance. That's all it is. That's the only thing that's driving him. Our main character, I guess it's vengeance. I don't know I'm not sure where he lands. And then we have Starlight, who is kind of like the idealist, but also just sort of ignorant, like sort of irritatingly ignorant at times. Idealist. And there's no one that's like, what the like there's no one that looks at Homelander and is like, we are living under what is essentially the tyranny of an all-powerful psychopath, because of how much that corporation has to sort of try to orchestrate around Homelander and make sure that he's like okay and he feels fine and all of that. Like, and if he goes off, we're screwed as a species probably. Like, that's really interesting to me. And there's nobody that's like, oh shit, this guy could take over the fucking world if he wanted to. I mean, if he wanted, like he could, he is Superman and he's that fucking powerful. And there's nobody that's like, shit, that's terrifying. Maybe that's why we need to shut him down. No, it's because he fucked my wife. That's why.
Well, I think there's a little bit of that with the FBI subplot. It doesn't go anywhere, though.
It doesn't, exactly. Like, this stuff doesn't go anywhere, but it's like I feel like that's the angle. Like, that's the thing that makes him so scary. That's why he's such a bad person. Not because he fucked your wife. Like, that's a part of it, but like...
Okay, seriously, though, do you think it's weird that Amazon, of all things, is creating an anti-corporatist message and selling it to people?
Maybe they just want to get caught. That's it. Like, guys, you need to watch out for us.
Guys, we're on your side. We made billions of dollars. Do you know how much money they sucked out of the American economy last year?
Fuckers. It was like 75 billion or something. I don't know how much it is.
It was more than that. Probably.
50 billion. I don't know.
It was $100 trillion.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I don't know. That was one of the aspects of the show that I've never really seen before, in any other kind of superhero type bullshit, and I thought was really interesting. But it's like, nope, all you have is characters who are, you killed my girlfriend, you fucked my wife. God, and
maybe I don't think Butcher didn't start with the "you fucked my wife" thing. I think it was more the "you killed my wife."
Well, yeah, I mean, sure. But it's just straight vengeance. And then that's all that motivates him all the way to the fucking very end. Where he's just like, fuck it.
So, and then the end happens.
Yeah.
And his wife is alive.
Yeah.
And there's a kid.
Yep.
That isn't his.
Right.
And good times.
Yep. Homelander got a baby. He got a baby boy.
I kind of hated that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to deal with it. Yeah, I don't really want to deal with it. Cause yeah, I think like the only opportunity it presents, I think, is just how does Homelander react? Because you don't really know what motivates him. Like, you had this weird mother-son / lovers like
it was
relationship.
Really kind of like an Oedipus complex.
It totally was, yeah. And then he kills her. So you're like, okay, that's fucking crazy. And so you're just left with like, well, what does anything mean anything to this fucking guy? Or, what is he about? Like, that's almost why he's an interesting character, is because it's so hard to tell what is actually motivating him, and he's so fucking powerful. So it's like, I mean, when you give so much power to this guy who is an unpredictable psychopath, that's interesting and terrifying. And you would think someone would want to stop him because of that.
Well, I thought, okay, so at the end of the actual season, what happens is he burns the eyes out of
Elizabeth Shue. That means no Elizabeth Shue in season 2, which fuck that.
And then he saves Butcher from death?
Yeah.
For what
I don't
reason?
know. So you think maybe is it a kind of like sadistic, hey, look at that, your wife's alive and I put a kid in her. Fuck you, asshole. Live with that.
Yeah.
And
right?
live with the fact that you couldn't kill me. I get that maybe, but
that's kind of shitty.
Well, he's a shitty person, like,
I know, but like in terms of story, it's hard to see how that's really very compelling.
It's not. I don't think it is. And I think that's a weakness for, at least for me, with respect to the show. Like, if he's the most compelling character in the show, which I think he is, I don't think that's enough. I don't know. I think if we just had, I don't know. It just frustrates me that, like, you have an entire world that just looks up and praises and worships the fucking Seven, even though they're the worst people. They're the worst people. So you just look around and you're like, well, I guess the entire world is fucking stupid. And that's what I feel like the show is communicating. The whole world is the dumbest fucking thing in the. Everyone is a fucking idiot moron. They've never been found out. This amazing corporation is so good at covering up everybody's problems that literally no one has any idea how terrible all of these all-powerful people are. It's just ridiculous.
So this kind of feels like what you're saying is this is essentially Crash for superheroes.
A little, yeah. A little bit. Yeah.
I tried to actually say that earlier when you were going on and on and on.
Oh, did you?
Hear me?
That's not a bad point. Yeah. It kind of is. It's it's really melodramatic, and no one, I mean, seriously, that entire scene where they go to try to rescue that plane from the hijackers, right? So there's the hijackers and Homelander kills them, but he accidentally like shoots up the console or whatever, and the plane is gonna crash. And so Homelander's like, well, I guess we can't save anyone. I guess they all have to die because of the PR around where, if some of them die, it's then it's really bad public relations. Oh my goodness. And Maeve doesn't want that to happen, whatever. And so he just abandons them all, and then apparently 100% of them die in the plane crash.
Yeah.
And they're just like, shoot, I guess we didn't get there in time. Too bad. No one's any the wiser. Like,
well, I mean, okay, no, because like no one would have expected them to go, because eventually, okay, so
I know, I get it. It's just really fucking convenient. No one survives. No one has any idea that any of this went down. And everyone gets away scot-free. It's like, God damn it. It's a little bit Wilson Fisk season 3 Daredevil. What the fuck? They're just all powerful. No one ever makes a fucking mistake, and any mistake that is made is perfectly covered up.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, I get it. However, I think that crashing a plane in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean is a little bit more of the perfect crime.
You would think someone would survive, and then also someone would have been notified. that like, hey, there's a
Someone
plane
would have
going
survived?
down, and maybe we should go look at that. Like,
I think it's pretty unlikely that anyone would survive a massive plane crash
I feel like
in
it's
the middle of the
possible.
Atlantic
I
Ocean.
feel like it's possible.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, anything's possible. But
Tactic Angel, they got those cushions that you use for flotation devices. Come
yeah,
on.
you just cross your arms underneath it. You'll be fine.
And you're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. You just gotta wait for the boats to come rescue you. But there are no boats in the fucking boys.
and you're the type of person who hides under their desk in the event of a nuclear disaster and thinks it's going to save them.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna dust myself off and go look at your irradiated corpse and be like, "Told you, motherfucker. Shouldn't have been such a cynical asshole."
I kind of doubt it. I kind of doubt it.
Ugh.
I kind of think that we are talking ourselves into a corner.
No,
though.
we are, and I don't mean to. Because all I've been doing is hating and bashing this show.
You're such a fucking cunt.
I know, but I do like it's just is so close to being really, really interesting and compelling. Because I mean I watched all of this in like 2 or 3 days. I found the episodes themselves just completely fascinating, and the performances are awesome.
You know what I find? This is my explanation. Essentially, your review of this is that Scar was a good episode, but I wanted there to be more.
Yeah. If
And-
it could just calm down on everyone is a shithole. Honestly, that's it. That's my one request for this show. Season 2, let's pretend like not everyone is a shithole. And that's it. I think you got a pretty amazing show. But the relentless everything sucks and everyone's a dick, I find tedious and overbearing.
I mean, I can get behind a certain sense of that because I certainly think that we could all use a little bit of optimism these days.
Yeah, because it exists. I mean, that's because it does in fact exist. It does exist. So.
But
Because it exists,
I'm not,
it should probably be represented. But
I don't think we need to shit on the show because I think they did a pretty good job overall.
yeah,
And we don't really know where they're gonna go with
Yeah.
season 2, so
True.
maybe it'll turn out to be fabulous,
maybe.
like the Orville.
Hey, yeah, I came around on the Orville, and season 1 of the Orville was way worse than season 1 of this show. But
Well, yeah, I'm not 100% positive on where this show is going, but do you have anything else you want to add before we put a bow on this?
no, The Boys, what a fantastic show. That's it.
Anyway, that has been episode number 87 of the Wednesday Night Gentleman Multimedia Empire official podcast. Please give us a like if you've enjoyed this video or subscribe to our channel. You can also find us on Twitter where we are at WNG_me_OPC, or head on over to our Facebook page where we are simply the Wednesday Night Gentlemen. Thank you everybody for listening, and we will see you again on episode number 88 of this podcast.
Bye-bye.